It is crepes today in the sartorial kitchen, and kicking things off, I am making a ham and cheese crepe with a mustard garlic aioli served up TikTok style. And last but not least, it's a chocolate crepe cake with raspberry whipped cream fillings. Why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me?
Back to the sartorial kitchen, everybody. Yes, we are doing crepes today. I'm so excited. So what is a crepe, you say? Well, crepe, similar to a pancake, but it's really thin, almost like tortilla thin. And there are so many things you can do with it, which is what we're going to discuss today. So to start, we're going to get the crepe batter going. Now the crepe batter itself, it's a lot thinner as well. So like where the pancake batter has a little meat to it, this is a thinner batter. So we're starting with a cup of sugar, or I'm sorry, cup of flour. And I'm just going to level that off. That goes right into my sifter. I always like to sift my flour, especially when I'm using like all-purpose flour. You always get these little bits of flour in here, and it's good to have a nice light batter. You want to sift your flour. And then I'm going to make a little well here with the measuring cup, and that's going to be for my wet ingredients, because that is it for the dry ingredients. Although I am going to add just a pinch of salt. That is it. No leaveners, no none of that. You are good to go. We're going to start next with my eggs here. I like to have a little paper towel there for the shells. I'm going to do my eggs next so I can watch for egg shells. We do not want egg shells in our crepes. And 2. We need 3 large eggs. Nice. Get rid of this. I'm going to come in here. I like to beat my eggs a little first before I get too deep into this. And now we need a cup and a fourth of milk. That's 1 whole cup and a splash. Alright, we're done with this guy here. Thank you for coming. Alright, now we're just going to come in here and give this a little whisk. Now, if you're making a breakfast crepe or a dessert crepe, this is when you would add the sugar, the vanilla, the things like this. But I am starting off with a savory crepe. I want to show the crepes diversity. A lot of times when we see crepes, it's usually as a dessert. There's usually cream inside or fresh fruit, or sometimes it's used around breakfast time, but I want to show off the crepes diversity. So we're going to be making a savory ham and cheese crepe. It's going to be so good. So you just want to, you don't want to overmix the batter, you just want it to where all the ingredients are well incorporated. And you can kind of see the consistency here. It's a little wet, but it has some structure to it. That looks pretty good. I've got my pan going here. I want it to get nice and warm. Now, a couple things here. Some butter. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons into the batter itself. That's going to help it get nice and crisp. And then a couple more tablespoons, well, maybe not even quite as much, into our pan. And that's going to just keep it from sticking. Now let's incorporate this butter. Melted butter, room temperature butter works good. Definitely not cold butter, because it won't incorporate. Cold butter for pastry, warm butter for batter. That's kind of how I remember it. I'm going to move my pan around. I just want that butter to coat the entire pan. That's looking good. Now, while our pan comes to temp, let's work on the sauce for our ham and cheese crepes. So we're making a little aioli of sorts here. Oops. Good thing it landed lid side up. So to start, I've got about a couple tablespoons of mayonnaise. That doesn't sound like much, but this makes a lot, so it's all good. Let's see, we also have some mustard here. This is the fancy mustard, and I really just want about a quarter teaspoon, just enough that you know it's in there. Little extra virgin olive oil, just a splash. And then I've got some onion powder and garlic powder. I'm going to do about a half teaspoon each. It's going to just really give it some nice flavor. And then lastly, a little pepper. And then we'll just come in here with our spoon and we'll just give it a little mix. And I love like the mustard and the oil just kind of gives it a different color here. And you can smell those wonderful seasonings in here. That's pretty good. I'm going to set this aside. If you're making several of these, then you can double the recipe so you have more sauce. But we're going to do a cool little thing here with our crepe. Okay, that pan's looking pretty good. You want it on medium heat, if I didn't mention that already. Just enough that it's hot, but not so hot that it's going to burn. And then you also need a good spatula on you. And that is basically it. So why crepes, you say? Well, I love crepes. Also, I find a lot of people tend to find crepes a little daunting or intimidating, if you will. And I want to show that they're actually not all that hard. You just want to make sure your pan's not too hot. You want a good heat on your pan. Lots of butter to keep it from sticking. And you want to make sure your batter is the right consistency. And that's pretty much it. Doesn't get much easier than that. Now, the other issue is overcrowding the pan. So I've got a 1/4 cup here and I want to measure precisely and just get a nice level 1/4 cup. I'm going to drop this right in the middle. And then you pick the pan up off the heat first and you swirl this around until the batter covers the bottom of the skillet completely. And then that's going to cook for about a minute. You'll know it's ready when the edges start to curl up. And similar to pancake batter, you'll get like the little bubbles on it. So that's when you know it's ready to cook. So you can kind of shake the pan a little bit and you'll see that the batter kind of releases itself. That also lets you know that it's ready to go. And then you just want to come up here really gently because you don't want it to break. It's very fragile. And just get under there with your spatula and turn it over. And there you go. And then it cooks for about a minute on the other side. I'm going to turn this pan down just a smidge. It sounds like it's good and hot now. And that's it. You just let it go on the other side for about a minute. If you like them a little darker, a little texture to them, you can always do it longer. But we're going to be kind of cooking these again here soon. So I don't want to overdo it. And always, if you're not sure, you can always kind of pry it up and just give it a little pinch. But this looks good, so we're going to take that and slide it right onto our plate. Oh, that looks so good. Smells good. And then we're going to come in here with our batter. And I'm going to make one more. Just right in the center. Beautiful. And then to show you the technique, you pull it up just real gentle like. You don't have to be aggressive. Just kind of slide it around and then back onto the heat. Just let it cook for about a minute. Now, while that goes, we're going to start assembling our crepe here. So I'm going to take a little bit of this sauce here. I'm going to dollop it right in the middle. Now I saw this on TikTok with tortillas, but I thought why not with crepes? Because crepes are just kind of a sweet tortilla, right? So I'm going to swirl that around there on both sides. And then I've also got some Swiss. I'm going to lay down some Swiss here. And I've also got some nice Black Forest ham here from the deli. I'm going to unroll that. One piece on each side. And then basically, you cut a slit here into one side. And you can roll this up like a triangle. So we're going to take one side with the sauce and flip that over. I'm going to flip over here to the other side of the sauce. And then, ooh, look at that gorgeous little triangular sandwich. I think our other guy here is ready to flip. Beautiful. Oh, yes. Gorgeous. Look at that. Just about another minute on that side, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, this one is ready to come off the heat. I'm going to turn our skillet down a little bit while we assemble our other guy here. And just a dollop there and a dollop here, and I'm just going to smooth that out. I want this to have lots of flavor. Okay, and then we come in again with our Swiss. I'm just going to lay down our Swiss, and then another piece of ham. And then again, we make our little slit here. And we just fold it up and over and once more. And this is why I only kind of par cook these. I didn't get them real dark, because we're going to throw these back in the skillet. Let them sear on both sides for just a little bit, just to let the cheese have some time to melt and let the ham get up to temperature. Alright. And then I'm just going to flip this over. It's almost like a grilled cheese. You get those marks on it. So good. We're going to turn this guy over too. Yum. Alright, I think these babies are ready to come out. How about that? And turn off our skillet and pull this baby off the heat. Get all that gooey cheese. Yum. And there you have it. Ham and cheese crepes. Let's give it a taste, shall we? I'm just going to come in here. Look at that. That nice gooey melty Swiss. So good. Oh yeah, so the crepe is just light. Thinner than a tortilla, really. And it's nice and buttery, like I said. The butter gives it lots of flavor and really helps it get nice and crispy. Not too greasy at all. That little aioli we made, perfect. Just gives the right amount of zing. And if you're not a pork person, you don't like ham, you can do these with turkey. You can just do cheese, do some different cheeses. So good. A quick and easy little sandwich alternative. So I'm going to clean this up and we will be moving on to our next dish. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, we did our fun little savory crepe. Now we're going to move on to a sweet dessert crepe. So for that, I'm pulling out a few more ingredients. Now I've still got my batter from earlier. We didn't use that much of it, so we should still be good to go. I'm adding some sugar this time. We're going to give it some sweetness here. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. Some vanilla, just about a teaspoon. I always like to use the cap to avoid making more dishes. And I thought it would be fun to do some chocolate crepes. So I've got some cocoa powder here, some baking cocoa. And we are going to do a 1/2 cup of our cocoa powder. Alright, just a little more. Okay, I think we're good there. Just kind of level that off. And that's going to go right in. Woo! And then we'll give this a little whisk. Incorporate the sugar and the cocoa and the vanilla. Oh, look at that. It's already turning a beautiful, rich, dark brown. It's good to go. Alright, I've got my pan back on. Letting it come back to temp. We're going to come in here with a little more butter. Again, that's just to keep things from sticking. Just let that butter swirl around. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Alright, go ahead and give this one more little whisk just to make sure all that chocolate is incorporated. Alright, we can get rid of this baby. And we are ready to go. Alright, so I'm just going to come in here again with my 4th cup scoop. Drop that right in the middle. Yes. And just like before, same technique, you pick that skillet up off the heat and swirl this baby around. Get all the edges. Still got my spatula from earlier, so this will be ready to flip when it turns over. Now, I'm going to start on a filling. I've got some heavy whipping cream here. Just a small container. And I only need about half the container. And we'll go ahead and throw it all in, why not? This is looking good. I think we're ready to flip. Yeah, buddy. Sweet. It's a little smaller. I might not have gotten enough batter in that time, but we'll be okay. Now, to our whipped cream. Some sugar. We need about a 1/2 cup of sugar. Give it some nice sweetness. And some more of our vanilla. Again, just about a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Just give it some good flavor. That's good. Thank you for coming. Alright, now before I move on to that, this guy's ready to come out. Again, I'm going to slide it right onto our plate here. And then I'll start our next crepe. This time make sure we get a full scoop. That's much better. And again, pick it up immediately off the heat and swirl it around. Beautiful. We're going to let that go. And while we do, I'm going to finish up this little quick whipped cream. I'm going to come in here just on a low setting. Just until all that incorporates, then we can kick it up into high gear. Just until it becomes nice and stiff. Okay, that looks pretty good. I just got one more thing here. Some raspberry preserves. I love chocolate and raspberries. I'm going to finish out this jar here. There's only about a couple tablespoons. I wanted this to set up first. Beautiful. Alright, this baby is ready to come out. And I think we're about due for just a little more butter. You can get about 3 or 4 before they start wanting to stick again. Nothing worse than when they stick, so we're going to throw in just a little more butter here. Just to keep it from sticking. You can always turn down your heat a little bit if the pan starts to get too hot. I'm going to come in here with this batter. I have enough batter left for a few more, I believe. And then we'll be ready to finish assembling our dessert. And just come through here, swirl that baby around, let it set up now. I've got that raspberry in here. We're just going to come in here on a low speed. I don't want to over-mix this because then it starts to reach that butter territory. But I just want to come in here where it just gets nice and incorporated. Okay, that looks pretty good. You should be able to hold up the spatula and the whipped cream stays in place. I just want to come through here. Give it a little taste. Nice and sweet, and you get a little pop of flavor from the raspberry. So good. Alright, I'm going to set this in the fridge and let it chill while we finish making our crepes. Alright, turn off that heat. That is our last crepe. I'm going to let these cool down. They're pretty hot before I assemble our dessert. Otherwise, the whipped cream is just going to melt. No good. So, we will get right to it. Time to finish our dessert. I'm making a mini crepe cake of sorts. Crepe cakes are usually way yay high. I would have had to make double the batter, but we're going to do good here. We've got about 10 crepes. It's all good. So these have cooled down nicely, and then I've got my whipped cream here, and I'm going to take just a smidge of this on the bottom of this plate. That's just going to help our first crepe stay in place while I continue to ice it. And I'm going to be really generous here because I have plenty of filling. And I just want to, about a 1/4 inch layer, and I'm going to come all the way to the edge. And what I love about this, you can see the little specks of raspberry in here. Oh, so good. Then we drop on our next layer and continue. Okay, last piece. Now I'm just going to dump this all over the top. It's going to be so good, guys. And if you wanted to, you could use frosting. I like the freshness of the whipped cream. I feel like the dairy kind of cuts through the richness of the chocolate. But either way is fine. You would assemble it the same way. Now I'm just going to come through here. Just a thin layer on the top. I'm going to kind of go through the middle and push this to the edge. And just kind of let it ooze down the side. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are home cooks. We are not confectioners. And then when it comes down the side here, you can come in with your spatula. And I just kind of run it around here, just like you would ice a normal cake. And what's really neat about this, it kind of looks like an actual cake. You really don't realize what it is until you cut into it, and you see that it's really just a crepe cake. And some of it's going to come down onto the plate. That's fine. I just come underneath with my spatula here and grab it up, and then continue to come around the sides here. And I like to just do a shallow coating, because then you get that rustic look. You know it's homemade. It's not some kind of fancy done up thing. It's just something you've made yourself in the home. And that looks, oh, doesn't that just look amazing? Oh. There you have it. Crepe cake. Now we could go ahead and serve it like this now, but I want that whipped cream to set up even more, so I'm going to cover this and I'm going to set it in my fridge to chill, and then I will come back later and we'll actually cut into it. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Time to dish up our cake. So this has just been chilling in my fridge for a few hours, just to really let the whipped cream set up. I'm just going to cut myself a little sliver to taste. Doesn't that just look gorgeous? You see all those beautiful layers of the chocolate, and then of course the whipped cream to die for. Let's come in here and give it a little taste, shall we? Oh, so good. The chocolate, it's nice and rich, really bold chocolate flavor. Then you get the cream. Kind of cuts through that richness. And then the bit of the raspberry jam and that cream just adds a nice little tart flavor. Balances everything out beautifully. So good. So I'm going to finish this up. But I thank you guys for joining me as always. Like and subscribe. And until next time, bon appetit.